all the way from Mokukeawe, so mahalo for being here.
And we're considered Kanaka Maoli. Kanaka Maoli is our tribe. Native Hawaiian is the terminology most people refer to as Kanaka Maoli since colonization. But we won't go there. But in any case, we're also referred to as cultural practitioners, for the legal sense of it. But we're really not practicing anything in our culture, but we're just in the culture. So those are the terms that have often been identified with: educators, cultural practitioners, and so forth. So we're going to begin. My wife's going to just give us an introduction where we're from.
Did you thank them all for? Oh, okay, he thanked you all for being here.
And so we have a short time. So if my wife talks too long, I have the.
Yeah, you can cut me off.
I can press and get it going, and she's going to do that to me too. So.
I wish we could keep you guys here and just like chat down, but you know, this is the nature of these 1-hour workshops. Okay, go. So this is our Pai'aina o Hawaii, our 8 main islands, because some of you might not know where Mokuokeawe is. So Mokuokeawe is the circled island, and that is the island that we come from. And the smaller circle is there's Mauna Awakea, or Mauna Kea, which we just woke up, and she said, "Oh, who that? Oh, Pua." Yeah. And then Waimea is where I was born and raised, where we come from. And so you can see how when I open my eyes and I look out the window, then we are Mauna Kea's in my front yard. Ew.
And it was just so it's the old name. When I say old name, the ancient name, the name that the ancient ones gave to this mountain is Mauna Awakea, the mountain of sky father. Wakea are peoples throughout. When I say peoples, are inclusive of all throughout the Pacific. No Wakea, Atea, Wakea. So the ancient ones gave it the name Mauna Awakea, and it's been shortened to Mauna Kea. It's also been shortened to Mauna Akea. And how do we know that? It's in our chants, but also the ancient ones come through and give us insight and knowledge into that. And that's what our Mauna looks like when it's topped with poliaku. And like I said, we conduct cultural practices there. We just do our traditions.
And we are idle no more Hawaii warriors rising. Just in case yeah. That's what we do. We chant down Babylon. Yeah. All right. Okay, let's just go there. So I'm going to start from here in, oh my gosh, in 2 minutes. I have to tell you like so much. So why is our Mauna sacred, and how did we reestablish or deepen our connection to our Mauna? So I'm going to say when I was growing up and the mountain was in my front yard, I maybe can count 2 times that I ever went to the top of the mountain. And that's really because we had no vehicle to take us to the top, and we would just say, oh, there's our Mauna, but we were never on the top of the mountain. So a few years ago, I keep saying a few, so it must be 5 or 6 by now, we became a part of a contested case for the top of our Mauna. And I'm not going to delve into that because Kalani is, but I'm just going to tell you how that happened. So this pohaku right here, the name of it is Manaua. It's right in the middle of Waimea. And I happen to be the caretaker for that pohaku since 1979. Because this is the pohaku that we go to pray for rain and to give gratitude when it rains. It's not, the rock itself is very powerful, yes, but it is the place where our mo'ovahine, our guardian spirit of the waters, comes to sunbathe. So when you leave your prayers and your lays there, she comes and receives them. And in 79, there was a really bad drought in Waimea, and my father was in charge of all the water for Parker Ranch. And the cattle were dying, and the horses were dying. And long story short, I went to the rock, and I said, if you give my father water, I will care for you for the rest of my life. And not just me, but my children, and my children's children. And I didn't even have any children then, but you see what we do? We commit them, don't we? And yes, now they're committed. So one day, another mo'o appeared there. My daughters can see the mo'os, which are not surprising to us because so could my grandmother, and in my genealogy is the mo'o. And anyway, we've been seeing these mo'os for a few years, and one day my younger daughter said, "Mom, there's another mo'o on the rock today, a mo'o wahine, a guardian. But she's not from over here, she's from the top of Mauna Kea. She's from Lake Waiau, the sacred waters." And I'm not going to ask you to believe me or not, but I know everybody in this room knows that. And this goes, yeah. And so as we were leaving that day, after Mo'oina Nea told her so many things and showed her kikepa and gave us the designs, and as we were leaving, my daughter stopped. She said, "Mom, wait." And she turned around and she looked back at the rock and she looked at me and she said, "Mom, Mo'oina Nea said, can you try one more time?" And I didn't even know what she was talking about. I mean, that's how asleep I was at that moment, because things happen undercover and you just don't know. And so I didn't know what she meant. And I said, "What do you mean?" And she looked back again, and I knew she was communicating with her, and she turned back to me and she said, "Can you try to keep the telescope off of the top of the Mauna? 18 stories, not even allowed on the whole island, is approved for the top of the mountain." I knew what that would mean, and I was filled with fear, to tell you the truth. Because you know what rushes through our head right there? Oh my God, does that mean I have to go to court? How about my job? School teacher. What about the jobs? Don't we always hear that to blackmail us into something? What about the jobs for your people? What about my safety? Would I stand alone? All of that went through me in just 1 second. And my daughter looked back at the rock and she looked at me. She said, "Mom, Mo'oina Nea said if you cannot, it's all right." Like, I didn't even say anything. And I knew my daughter was really seeing her, never doubted her. And so I said, "Why do I have to do that?" Ask her why. And she said, "Mom, because it'll change everything. It'll be that one too big that disturbs the balance forever. It'll change everything. And they'll have to all leave. All the elemental forms, the deities, the knowledge, the ancestral portals, everything, boom, leave. Because they cannot resonate at the same vibration as construction and all that." Needless to say, through a long process, we entered into the contested case. And this is where sacred connection comes in, you guys. You gotta be brave. You gotta work up to bravery to have sacred connection. Because you know we had to enter into this contested case on behalf of Mo'oina Nea, the goddess, the deity, the spirit. Do you know what the first newspapers looked like when we entered into that case? Not pretty. Here, all these years later, we're still in the case. We're still communicating with Mo'oina Nea, but a plethora of others. And that's sacred connection. When it comes from the ancestral divine, and you listen, and you stay in alignment, and you follow directions, and you just stay in, that is sacred connection. So now I think I'm going to turn it over.
And maybe it go further. Maybe I was good, so I can.
Oh,
Question. What is a mo'o? You know, in the story that grandmothers talk about mo'o, whose grandmother would communicate with a mo'o. Mo'os are dragon forms. But mo'os are not spirits. Mo'os, the best way to explain a mo'o, mo'os like are humans, but they resonate at a different, higher vibration. They coexist with humanity. They were put on this planet as guardians, especially guardians of certain waterways. Where there's rivers, pools, streams on the ocean, you'll find mo'os, or you find stories of mo'os. They're often called mermaids, mo'wahine. So, and we've got a whole plethora of stories from the mo'os. Because our daughter, especially our younger daughter, was the first one that introduced us to the mo'os. And we went to different places and she could see them. Not only she could see them, she could communicate with them. And so as it is a true instructor, I'll be asking questions. So what does it mean? Where are they from? What do they do? what's your father's name? And I'll be, and after a certain time, Dad, it's getting too personal, then I'm going to answer that question. Things like that. But they gave us insight of things that they saw in past generations, in human generations, or things that happened on the land. So, I can't explain it, but at one point in time, mo'os consummated with humans. Not all of them, but some of them. So some mo'os you see are part human and part mo'o. She has a tail under her kikepa. Some mo'os are full mo'o dragon forms, as I explained. Some can shapeshift into other things. There's a whole thing about mo'os. But the mo'o stories are in our chants, are in our stories, or even in family stories. And so that's a little bit about the mo'os. We could do a whole session about mo'os and such. But mo'o Inania, she assumed the guardianship of Lake Waiao, the sacred lake on Mount Awakia, from her mother. Her mother was the guardian on the mountain before. And there's been other guardians before her mother and so forth. And the other mo'o that our daughter first saw, her name was Manaua, and that was the one in Waimea and such. And I'm going to move along. So our topics on sacred connections. So part of our sacred connections is our piko. In other places in the Pacific and other places it's referred to as pito. Hawaii we call it pito. There's not really a real definition for piko, but there's a piko on top of our head here. There's a piko our umbilical cord, a navel, and the other piko is our genitalia. So there's connections in a sense of connections to the past generations, present generations, and future generations. But there's many other different types of piko. So there's a piko luna. So you can think of pikos like gateways, portals. That's also what a piko is for us in our understanding, not our understanding, but in the things we do. So when we're outside, when we blow a pool, I open a pool, I blow the pool, the conch, to the piko Allah, to the piko, to the divine creator, to whoever you acknowledge the creator as, whoever you acknowledge the creator, the divine creator, and all the divine ones that are connected to with the creator above, to our star families above us. There are many, and my wife's gonna make sure that she said don't go too deep. And our daughters tell us that. You know, we have a conversation, we start to get too deep, and they tell us, oh, and Dad, Mom, you gotta get the snorkel because you guys are going too deep. Okay, so
my nickname is Deep Ocean. The Deep Ocean.
We won't try to go, but because to go too deep, you have to be here longer.
Hour.
Yeah. We actually have less than an hour. So we're gonna. So what I can share with you folks is that we all have divine connections to this star ancient families. And they're actually, the times are shifting and changing at this time. And many of them they've always been around, but they're coming back to assist us. When we say us, it's assist humanity in the changes and transitions that are going on. And so those are from the star families. And there's ones that come from different star families. But the ones that we know of and recognize, acknowledge that come into our circles at times, these divine beings from the star nations, are those that come from the Makali'i, the Pleiades. There's others that come from Sirius. And also there's divine connections with the moon, as it explains to us. So what I'm saying explains to us, it's not something we read, learned, or anything in this past couple of years, and just being in it, they've come into our circles, to those in our families, members, or to us, others outside of our family, as mediumships, or seers, who have the ability to communicate between the physical and the spiritual realms. All these messages have been coming in what we do. And because we always pull it and pray before we do something, before we go to the mountain, before we do a ceremony, and they come and give us guidance. Also, our direct ancestors come in at certain times and give us that guidance. So the moon, they tell us the moon has a divine, the divine light of the creator from the sun. There's divine energy that comes from the moon. And we all recognize Mahina up there. We also recognize the sun. The sun, there's so much, the sun is the light of the creator. One aspect of the light of the creator. And so much divine energies are now coming through this earth to help with the shift and change. It's always been coming through, but things are changing at this time. So we wrote a pool above, it's recognizing, acknowledging, calling upon all those in that upper realm, the realm of